Welcome to episode 166 of the AHRC Marathon Training Vlog. I'm MK, and today we're going to go on a 7-mile recovery run with some speed. The plan is to do hill sprints, 5 times 70 meters. Before we find out how that workout went, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of our daily vlog. All right, here are the splits for the first 4 miles. And now we're going to do some strides. Okay, 70. All right, that's the 5th mile in 8:30 something. All right, that was the 6th mile. Had to say bye to Anita. It was fun running with her. We got the inside scoop on how her Berlin Marathon went. It was awesome. All right, that's gonna take us to the end of this recovery run. Let's go back to the future so that we can talk about max heart rate and heart rate training zones. All right, we made it back. Today, we're gonna talk about max heart rate and heart rate training zones. My friend Joe asked about the formula for calculating max heart rate, 220 minus age. He asked if this is a good way to calculate max heart rate because he found that by using this calculation at around 95% of his calculated max heart rate, he was still pretty comfortable and not really breathing that hard. The max heart rate calculation is an estimate. It's not an exact science, but it gets a lot of people, a lot of average people, close to their max heart rate. Joe, since you're a runner, it's very likely that you are not an average person, and your max heart rate could very well be, amongst your age group, higher than others. Joe, I wouldn't put too much focus or weight on your max heart rate calculation based on the 220 minus age rule. Instead of focusing on maximum heart rate, I would try to hone in on your different heart rate training zones. And then the best way to do that is by racing a 5K race or a 10K race. I like to use the VDOT system to define my training zones. So if I have a recent race, whether it's a 5K race, a 10K race, or even a marathon, I'll use that most recent performance and I'll make sure that the course is a relatively flat course, the weather conditions are relatively normal, and my own physical condition on that day was pretty average. Then I'll use the most recent race result and enter that into the VDOT calculator. And the VDOT calculator will give me equivalent race outcomes as well as training paces for repetition, interval, threshold, marathon, and easy. To find my heart rate zones, I would go back to the races. I would go back to that 5K race that I had, and I would make sure that, of course, the environment was pretty stable and my physical condition was pretty normal. And I would take a look at the heart rate data for that race, and I will see after 2 minutes where my heart rate was during that race. Now I want to look after 2 minutes because it takes 2 minutes for my heart rate to get up to VO2 max or 90% of VO2 max. So I'll get a good idea of that VO2 max range between 90% to 100. If I want to know my threshold heart rate, then I'll look at a 10K race. And then the 10K race will give me my lactate threshold. And if I want to know my heart rate zone at marathon pace or marathon effort, then I'll take a look at the data from a recent race. Then I can see the range of my heart rate zone. So I know that my heart rate for a marathon at the Boston Marathon last year was between 165 and 171. And most of the time I spent in the high 160s, so between 167 and 169. And then I used the final 10K of the marathon to rev my engines up to lactate threshold effort. And I allowed my heart rate to go up over 169 to 170, 171, and eventually 172, which is my lactate threshold range. So for me, in planning a marathon, this is okay. It's okay to go past my marathon pace effort because I only have 40 minutes left of the race, and I'm willing to empty the tank at that point and go into that lactate threshold zone. So this is why it's good to analyze all of your previous races and see where your actual heart rate zones are during those different efforts, whether it's VO2 max, lactate threshold, or marathon pace. So to summarize, for the VDOT system for pacing, repetition is maybe your fastest mile or your fastest 800, and here we're working in the zone to maximize anaerobic power and to increase economy and good running mechanics. At interval, this is the pace that is equivalent to your fastest 5K. And here we're working on increasing the speed at VO2 max. We're not trying to create a larger VO2 max per se, but we are trying to do is we're trying to take our VO2 max and run at a faster speed at that VO2 max. Threshold is equivalent to our fastest 10K time. And here we're working on our ability to clear lactate at a faster rate and for a longer duration. So for the marathon, we're going to try to use all the different VDOT zones in order to maximize our speed, maximize our efficiency, maximize our speed at VO2 max, our lactate threshold, our ability to clear lactate. And we put all that together to make a race strategy for the marathon, which is quite long. All right, Joe, I hope that helps. It can get a little complicated, but if you read Jack Daniel's Principles of Training, you'll get a much, much better idea in more detail about how to train in the VDOT system of pacing. Hey, let's check in with Meg to see how she did on her VO2 max workout yesterday.
Hello there, Coach. I just wanted to check in after I did my track workout yesterday. So I did a 2-mile warm-up, and then I did 800s, 5 800s. My first was 320, then 321, 317, 323, and 320. My goal was 322, so I was really trying to stay within that time frame. I ran out of time a little bit, and I finished with a 1-mile cool down, but it felt great, and I just wanted to check in and let you know how I did. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
Wow, those are some crazy awesome splits, Meg. Well done. Meg is training for the Disney World Half Marathon, and she does 3 workouts a week. 1 VO2 max, 1 threshold, and 1 long run. The rest of her runs are recovery runs, and she does 2 to 3 of those. So she runs anywhere between 5 and 6 times a week. We use the VDOT system of pacing in order to determine the different types of workouts that she does, so that she can cover all the different skills that she needs in order to run a fast half marathon. All right, thanks for joining us on our morning recovery run and for our talk about max heart rate and training zones. Thanks, Joe, for the question. Leave your questions in the comments below. Also, you can follow me on Strava by searching for Michael Kim at AHRC. Join our run club on Strava by searching for AHRC. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I'm going to have a great day. I hope you have a great day and a meaningful run. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.